So Alexander technique, what is it and why is it confusing even when you sort of know what it is? So the thing with Alexander technique, the most common thing that always happens is people go, oh yeah, I've heard of it, and then they sort of look a bit blankly because they're worried you're going to ask them what it is. And we all have felt like that. Luckily I don't feel like it anymore, but that's because I'm a teacher. It's confusing because it's not really like anything else. So people often say, oh, it's like yoga or Pilates, and ask me a question, is it like yoga or Pilates? And I'll kind of go, well, kind of, in the sense that it can make you feel good, like those activities can. It can also involve laying down on the floor sometimes, like you do in those exercises. But it's not exercises as such, and that is a really important distinction. Like Alexander technique, it's more like learning French or learning to ride a bike. It's a skill that you learn and you actually then can apply it to anything. Now this makes it kind of tricky because it's essentially sort of invisible. You know, like if I was thinking Alexander thoughts while I was stood talking to you, you probably wouldn't even notice what I was doing, but I would feel a change in my body. I would feel more space, I would feel more energized, I'd feel like it was easier to breathe, I'd feel like it was easier to focus. If I was feeling stressed, it would start to undo that stress and tension. So there's all this cool stuff going on, but it's not super easy to kind of just be like, sure, you know, we'll do a class, bring your yoga mat, and that's that. So for that reason, it doesn't tend to be as popular because humans, what we know about us is we love it when we get a new hobby and we can get the kit. We flipping love it. Everyone's going back to school at the moment, aren't they? And you know, we associate that kind of learning with getting the new pencil case, getting the new folder, all of that stuff. And Alexander technique does not really require that, and in some ways that's its downfall because people are like, I still don't really get what it is, and it's confusing because what it is it's learning how to move more like you moved as a child. You obviously don't really remember that, so that's kind of hard to think about as an interpretation of it. It's learning to undo bad habits. Now, the thing about bad habits in our movement is we're not aware of them at first, so that's quite hard as well because you're like, well, I don't even know if I've got bad habits. So it's lots of things that it's not, but what I can say is that it's a form of education. So basically, I'm your teacher and I share with you new ways of doing stuff that you can then take away and you can do them wherever you are. You can do them on holiday, you can do them in the gym, you can do them when you're doing the hoovering, you can do them when you're having a row with someone, you can do them literally anywhere. So in terms of bang for your buck and value for a new pastime, it's absolutely brilliant. And it's also absolutely brilliant because it goes completely against the grain of this idea that your body is just deteriorating and degenerating all the time. Aging does not mean we're all aging all the time. There's a brilliant doctor called Dr. Christiane Northrup who writes about this, and I've just been listening to her work this morning, so I'm kind of thinking things that she was saying. You know, everyone is aging from the moment they're born, but yet there's something about when you get kind of like 40, 50, 60, 70 plus that sort of feels like it's a negative because it's linked to dying, obviously. The older we get, the more likely it is that we are going to die. So people don't like to think about that. They sort of idolise the youth, and then we think that ageing is a big problem. But you have a lot more control than you think over how you age, and it's all to do with your habits, and it's to do with how you use and move your body. So it's an absolutely fantastic tool against injury and ageing. So you could just look upon it as it's a really, really handy practice to help you have your best life. And with that in mind, I'm going to share some videos this month around how to use Alexander technique for really common things that come up, like when you get a headache, when you get a sore neck, when you get a stiff jaw. And that will hopefully help you start to see how damn useful it is. And if you want me to do any particular videos, just send me a message and I will record a few for you.